What would it mean for a stone to have freedom?
Well, to answer you properly, I would have to explain why, for me, Socrates is the first philosopher for me, nonetheless. Because, instead of going directly at the topic, no, probably not, for freedom you need awareness, and so on, I would go back to what do you mean by freedom? Because freedom is not simply opposed to necessity. It's even problematic if freedom needs really a free choice. Let's say you passionately fall in love. Usually you don't make a choice. There is no moment when you tell yourself, look, there are, if I'm heterosexual, there are nice ladies here and there, let me pick that one. No, all of a sudden you realize that you already were in love. That's for me freedom at its most radical, and here we come back to Schelling. Schelling saw this clearly, that freedom in this sense is more radical. It's not free choice. Why? I can put it in more existentialist terms, although I'm not that, because for me, true act of freedom is not, I go to a store and oh my God, should I pick, I don't know, chocolate cake or cheesecake, and then I choose freely. No, true freedom is, as it were, when you choose yourself, when you decide not only what to have, what to use, but when you decide or choose what you are. These are the true choices for me, the choices which affect your identity. In this sense, no. Stone, I think, definitely and doesn't have freedom. Do you think is there a theory which claims that stone does have freedom? To go a step further, then you can immediately interrupt me. I think that the quantum theory of indeterminacy and so on, I know it's not simply non-determinism, Schrödinger equation and so on, there are rules, but within this scope, you cannot predict it. There are chances and so on, but this has nothing to do with freedom. Freedom is a self-chosen form of necessity. If I throw something like a coin into the air and said on which side it will fall down, I decide this is not freedom. I just leave it to what appears to me as contingency, although probably it's not. Freedom is a decision which establishes a new necessity. In this sense, now I can make a jump for which I will be hated by people who think I confuse things. You know what? I had a debate, brief one, with Carlo Rovelli.
Yes.
And very strangely, I tried to catch him on that. He used the term freedom. His idea is this one, precisely to take, you can immediately counterattack that I simplify it or what, I know. But let's say wave particle.
Okay.
What I will perceive as reality, and I will not go now into this, does my choice, what to focus on, my observation, does it create that or not? But the point is that this is for him the moment of freedom. Freedom in the sense that when I do a quantum observation, I choose what aspect to measure. We are observe an entity as a particle or as a wave, and we know all the paradoxes and so on and so on. I would even be afraid to use the term freedom here, because if we say this is freedom, I'm free to choose what I will measure in a quantum experiment, isn't it that then, if I say only this, am I not caught into a very strong ontological duality? In the sense that we have the quantum domain, which is contingent but not in any meaningful sense free, and then it's me. But how do I fit the quantum domain? What am I?
I subscribe to The Economist. Their science and their AI coverage is among the best I've found anywhere. And I say that as someone who reads plenty of it. I'll give you some examples. They just ran an analysis on how attitudes towards science are changing in American politics and what this means for research and funding in scientific institutions moving forward. This sort of high-quality reporting is fantastic. They even covered how dark energy may be weakening over time. Now, if that holds up, it completely changes our understanding of the universe's fate. If you watch this channel, those are exactly the kinds of questions that we explore every week. I subscribe to The Economist because their science and their AI reporting regularly surprises me with how deep it goes. And they're also, of course, known for global affairs, both political and economic reporting. They are top tier, and interestingly and flatteringly, TOE is one of the only podcasts that The Economist partners with. So as a listener, you get an exclusive 35% off. That's not a deal that they have just anywhere. Head to economist.com/TOE to subscribe. That's economist.com/TOE for 35% off.
For example, most of the quantum physicists reject the notion of freedom of the will. You know?
Yes.
So I would say, you see, now I know you never will get this from me. I shouldn't talk too much. I didn't answer your question, but I confused it in the right way so that you see in what direction my mind works. It was a simple, precise question, and that's where I enjoy theory. Theory should, in the first step, bring out all the hidden presuppositions. Like, for example, I remember even in our ordinary reality, no, some cognitivists they claim even we humans, are we free or not? They claim that usually we confuse different levels of freedom. What we spontaneously experience as freedom is I do what I think that it's the best for me or what I want, and so on and so on. I'm not under external pressure. But this in no way excludes the option that what I will choose in a way which I experience as free, that will be strictly determined by my previous experience, neuronal processes, whatever you want, and so on and so on. So here I would be close to Kant. Kant has a very interesting notion. He says that when we think that we act freely, like F off, I will just do this, do that, and so on, we are totally enslaved to our nature, psychic, biological, neuronal, whatever, and that the only way to be free is to obey the moral law. Because the moral law means we acquire a distance towards our spontaneous tendencies, you know. And this is what is very close to me, that freedom is, for example, what is for me freedom? Let me give you, I'm sorry, then I will stop, a pathetic example. It's ridiculous. I walk along a shore and I see a child drowning there. No? I obviously have a choice. Here I oppose the standard stupid religious answer, which is only if you believe in some divine punishment after your life. No, that's not at all what goes on in you. You have to make a choice. Will you do what you experience as your duty to help the child drowning, or will you follow a simple pleasure principle? You look around, nobody's there to see me, so F off, I leave the child to drown. This is for me, if you decide to jump in water, an authentic free decision. I stop. I talk too much.
Okay, I'm going to resist the urge to correct any quantum mechanical misinterpretations when it comes to math.
But don't resist the urge. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. I was just referring to what Rovelli does. Rovelli is using here the freedom. Freedom in the sense that we observers can decide, will we measure this aspect or that aspect? He uses the term freedom. I want to avoid now, I'm well aware. I may be an idiot, but maybe not a total idiot. So I'm well aware of the complexity. I mean, usually people say you philosophers are confused. If I approach quantum mechanics to get clear insights, I discovered that in quantum mechanics, the mess is so terrifying today, almost anything goes. There are people who claim this, that, but the key, what really interests me, and here maybe we touch something that approaches freedom, is the so-called collapse, no? So-called. Let's not go into it. I decide to measure this, and then I get a result, which is contingent, but, and so on. For me, how do we read this? Do we read this? I see tendencies today to read this more in an epistemological way. Waves are out there. Freedom is just the choice which aspect of multiple superposed quantum reality I will approach. As if freedom means there are multiple possibilities out there in the world. I will choose on which aspect to focus. No, I think quantum mechanics is more radical. The so-called, I know all the problems, collapse is not just epistemological. It's ontological. In other words, it affects the thing itself.